3 decades. That's how long it's been. Almost 3 decades I've known this guy. He's been in my speed dial for the longest time. So besides being a great, great friend, he's somebody that I admire what he does. And he is obviously leading the way when it comes to anything around brain performance, memory performance, or enhancement. And I'm honored to have him join me today, which I'm sharing with you. And that's Jim Quick. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Ken. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
All right, Jim, first
Yeah.
question right out of the box. Everyone always talks about, I don't remember things. I feel like I'm forgetting things. And they blame it on stress. It's stress that prevents me from remembering or retaining. Is that a real thing?
Yes, I mean, stress is definitely a component. When we're stressed, our amygdala is firing. It feels like we're under threat, and it kind of holds us in our survival brain, holds us hostage away from our executive functioning and part of our memory, the cortisol, adrenaline. A certain amount of stress is good. It increases alertness, makes you pay attention. But too much is the excessive stress that could kind of shut down our memory and our learning. That's why it's so important, even when you're in a stress state, not to make important decisions. Especially if you're to emotionally regulate, to regulate your nervous system. Not doing things out of anger, sending that message, taking a few breaths helps you to cognitively reset and access more of that cognitive potential for sure.
Wait. Are you in the camp that stress can be good, but
hmm
don't make decisions when you're under massive amounts of stress?
Yeah, when we're in the states, emotional states of anger, of extreme frustration, worry, fear, we're not going to make the best decisions. Our amygdala is going to hijack, a lot of the choices that we're going to make, and we're not going to even see the possibilities and the potential. I think a lot of people have plenty of examples where they, reacted instead of actually responded to something. So stress is big. Also, when it comes to remembering names, a lot of it is just paying attention. If we're going to really simplify it, I think the art of memory, the art of learning, is the art of attention, and we live in this attention economy. And I think attention is really the currency, right? We pay attention. We have to invest our attention into things that really matter. We also live in a world where distraction is what we're living in. I always say, like, if you just one way of looking at it, if you look at it, turn it into money as like a resource. Imagine tomorrow somebody made you pay instead of your attention. Translate that to money, and every time you go on Facebook, you have to take out your credit card and pay for that the tension, when you're scrolling and seeing your friends or people that are strangers on Instagram, you have to pull out that same credit card. I think we would approach it a little bit differently.
Okay, I get that. And remember that one movie? What was it with about time, where you actually had time on your wrist, and every second mattered, and you could buy time. Paying attention is important. I feel, and this is coming from a father, you're a father also, that a generation below us, and even one below us again, their attention span seems to be shorter and not as focused. And I'm going to blame it on social media platforms, things that are 8-second videos and alerts. Is their brain function different than ours?
I mean, the brain's been the same for hundreds of thousands of years. Hasn't really evolved as fast as technology has, for sure. I would say that yes, the attention. I think focus is a muscle, and so does distraction. Right? You feed your focus. You want to starve your distractions. How we do anything is how we do everything. I have a video with Simon Sinek 9 years ago on Facebook. It has 38 million views. And back then I was just saying, hey, technology is a tool for us to use, but if it's using us, then who becomes the tool, right? And it's just simple things. But even back then, putting guardrails and boundaries around your devices, like not touching your device for 30 minutes a day or the last 30 minutes a day, right? But because, yeah, I don't think people are conscious how often they do it. It's habitual. They do it out of boredom. People can't sit in stillness and think. They can't wait on a line and without picking up their device. And of course, guilty of it also as well. I use it for various things, but I think it's important that you choose to use it. If you're using it to, relax and get some entertainment, that's fine. But also there's an opportunity, there's a cost to it, without a doubt. There's a cost to our mental health, in terms of digital depression, comparing ourselves to other people. So the challenge with things like this is it's cheap dopamine. You don't have to earn it, right? Every like, share, comment, cat video, whatever, gives you that dopamine. Dopamine is a molecule of motivation, and when you can get it from that, it's like eating candy, or snacking, right? It's you're not hungry for the real meal, and so similarly to this, you don't do the deep work, right? You're not earning your dopamine by working out or by doing studying, or having conversations with individuals, and that's more of a natural way to get your dopamine, and it's healthier over time.
So about, I think it was 10 years ago, you did something that changed my life, totally changed my life. And we were talking about carbs, okay? And then you actually brought up brain carbs. I go, brain carbs, what do you mean? He goes, it's just useless stuff. It's things that it's almost like candy for the brain. And it's different for everybody. And I go, so I love music. He goes, well, the way you're using it, it's actually carbs. You're using it as opposed to listening to a book on tape or a book, audiobook, or learning a second language. You are replacing that with music. And you should switch that and start doing different types of brain work. And ever since then, Jim, this is going to sound ridiculous. I don't listen to music during the week. I listen to
Mm,
no music. I listen to podcasts. I listen to news reports. All I do is listen and learn. And then on Sundays, it's my brain carb day,
yeah.
music galore, right? I can't believe how much I've learned because of that. My retention has increased massively. People laugh at me, but it's almost like a cognitive flexibility where you were able to change the way my brain worked based upon changing the patterns.
Yeah, yeah. The name of the game is, and I'm a big fan of music, so I'm not saying it's bad. There's certain music actually get it actually enhance the learning process also as well, and also puts you in state when you need to. The emotional state. Some people use it, when they work out or they need to get jazzed for a meeting, which is great, and just for entertainment also as well. I would say that in terms of the choices that we make, I mean, to make your life better, there's only four different choices, right? If you really break it down, you either stop something, you start something, you do less of something, or you do more of something, right? And because the fifth is staying the same, which is insanity, so there's no change. So you could stop smoking, you could start meditating, you could do less binge watching or doom scrolling, you could do more movement, right? But the name of the game is neuroplasticity. So the reason why you advance and succeeded so well, I would stipulate part of it is you're feeding your mind, right? And neuroplasticity, which is your brain's ability to make new connections, to grow and to adapt, to be flexible. If you want your business to grow, your brain has to grow, right? And today we live in this knowledge economy where knowledge is not only power, it's profit. And the faster you can learn, the faster you can earn. Neuroplasticity requires two things. It requires novelty, just like your body. If you want to work out your body, you exercise it, you give some kind of stimulus, some kind of novelty, and then you have to give it proper nutrition, just like your body. And so yeah, absolutely. Learning all the time, is wonderful. Even when you're working rhythmic, I see you on social media, like on your treadmill. If you're listening to a book, you'll actually retain it better when you're doing something rhythmic, because as your body moves, your brain grooves. You're creating those neurochemicals, which enhance memory also as well. Plus, there's oxygen and blood flow to your brain. You have dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. But you mentioned cognitive flexibility, and I just came from an event recently with 150 CEOs, and there was a family office. And I think cognitive flexibility is one of the most important skills for leaders to lean into, because the world is moving at everyone knows this, breakneck speeds, right? Economy is shifting overnight. Technology is disrupting industries. There's uncertainty, but uncertainty, but how do you catch up and keep up and get ahead? We have to invest in our own technology, which is our brain. So cognitive flexibility is like your ability to pivot without going back to that panic, right? That when you were talking about stress and fear, And because what's the opposite? The opposite is being mentally rigid, right? And that can be very, very dangerous now. You know, plenty of examples, right? The people and companies who could adapt the fastest, they're not necessarily the strongest or smartest, but they're the ones who are going to adapt and flourish. So it's your ability to cognitive flexibility, I would say, is your ability to switch quickly between different concepts, different perspectives, strategies, to be able to update your beliefs in more real time. I mean, I think about it like cognitive or mental parkour. You ever see those people who could they're so nimble, they're so fast, they're so agile physically. And I think it's very powerful to be that mentally, because I mean, what's the consequence if you're not, right? If you're cognitively rigid, you have plenty of examples in the market, right? It kills innovation. You have tunnel thinking, right? It's the whole, plenty of example. Kodak invented the digital camera, buried it, right? Buster, BlackBerry. I mean, they weren't cognitively flexible, and they paid the price.
I understand that. Could we use enhancers to allow us to have an extra edge? Now, I remember when nootropics came out, I was super excited about that. I tried everything from the natural to the synthetic. No, I'm serious. And some of them stuck, right?
Mhm.
Is there a mixture or something that can enhance our brain performance by doing some type of ingestible?
Yes. So, I always talk about the brain foods for cognitive health, and yes, supplement with omega 3s and your vitamin Ds. It's all good for cognitive health. There are substances that are highly researched to actually not that actually for cognitive performance. Where cognitive health is more with the wellness, the baseline cognitive performance that has been shown to enhance focus, enhance memory, enhance mental energy, improve your mood. You know what? It was a very powerful one going back to working out is creatine. That's probably the most researched substance, and most people have associated with working out and having energy to build muscle. Huge cognitive benefits.
What do you, five
Even
milligrams a day?
I do more because of my sleep, having a 2-year-old and as you know, a 1-year-old. There's research that shows upwards of 20-25 could actually offset a lot of the negative effects of a bad night's sleep.
That's amazing. But don't you have kidney issues? I mean, that's the problem. You have to drink a massive amount of water then to flush that, right?
Yeah, again, I'm not a medical doctor, but some experts that I
Okay,
respect, who
got it.
do have those degrees, are saying that that the new information is saying it's more benign.
But
But I
I
mean,
do know, Jim,
drinking water is not a bad thing.
I know you did specifically. You made your own concoction. You have your own brain pills per se. Took you a long time to formulate it. What's it called?
It's called Quick Mind. So back in 2018, I get sent everything. I research everything. I started taking 5 specific ingredients that have human studies, and that to boost focus, memory, mood, mental energy. And it's a game changer. I mean, I could feel the difference by taking it or not taking it. I take 2 pills in the morning or with breakfast or lunch, and I'm set. I mean, I think it's my cognitive edge. Now, I didn't want to open up like 5 bottles, and it was more expensive, so I kind of put it all in one, and made it non-GMO and all vegan, no caffeine, so you can still do your coffee or tea or whatever you're doing. But it's extremely powerful. People could do there, and we have in Limitless. There's a whole chapter on neuronutrition, but people can find more about it at quickmind.com. There's a spell it right, KWIK mind.com, and we link to all the science and all the ingredients and all the benefits that come. But simple things, I'm always looking for little things you could do, like a neurostack that will give you big returns, right? High leverage.
Okay. We talk about nootropics, what you formulated. Where do you think peptides lie in the future? Do you think that there's an opportunity with peptides? Do you think that's the next big opportunity for brain enhancement?
Yeah. So beyond nootropics, you have peptides. A lot of people are very excited about stem cells or B cells or exosomes, also as well as part of the recovery are giving them an edge. Um, yeah, the peptide stack that I do, and I alternate, especially when I travel, with the needle, using needles. Um, BPC, 157 is a very popular one in terms of recovery. I like to do my physical workouts and sparring first thing in the morning. Yeah, so I feel an edge with that. What about you? Are you on any kind of protocol right
Actually,
now?
there's a podcast that I'm just producing right now with Dr. Adil Khan, who you need to know.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so him and I are doing a podcast together, and we're talking about all the different types of peptides that are coming out because it's unbelievable how many there are. And then what you have to know how to mix them and stack them, as you said. So yeah, I'll reveal that another time. Jim, before we go, two more questions. First one is, we know that Dan Bueller, when he went off and did the whole blue zone concept, and he looked at what allowed these people to live long, regardless if you believe it or don't believe it, I love the premise. One of the biggest premises was community. Community was essential. Have you seen any data linked to where community allows people to maintain good brain health?
Yeah, absolutely. It's extremely well researched. We've had maybe 500 podcasts, and we had and this is great to talk to you because you're like the father of podcasts. Um, we had the director of the longest study at Harvard on happiness and longevity. And what they concluded, just to summarize, was yes, exercise, obviously, diet is important, but the number one needle mover for those two things, happiness and longevity, was connection, a deep sense of community, not just in your with your spouse, but it's the depth of your relationships. And it just makes sense also, right? As hunter gatherers, you have their safety, when you're around people, and it's not just the people you can count, like your followers, but the people you can count on, and and also who could count on you also as well. And if you haven't found that person, my recommendation is to be that person for somebody else, especially be that person for you. When I joined Metal, in the early days, especially in Los Angeles, having that brotherhood, that fellowship, people who are going through similar challenges, that are there to encourage you, to support you, to cheerlead for you, to be kind to you, and call you on your stuff. It's a treasure for sure. The other reason why these connections are so important for your brain is and plus it lowers stress. Usually it doubles your happiness when you have good news. It usually halves the amount of sadness, or worry when you're around people. You also, in your nervous system, have these mirror neurons where we're constantly imitating the people around us. We've heard this kind of cliche where who you spend time with is who you become. If you spend time with 9 broke people, you're going to be number 10. But the reason why, from a science standpoint, is we imitate people around us unconsciously. I always say WATCH, WATCH is an acronym. We mirror and imitate their words. We start using the same language as the people we spend the most time with. The A is actions. We start behaving like the people we spend time with. The T is our thoughts. We start thinking and having views, worldviews as the same as the people around us the most. C is character. We tend to have the same level of integrity, a moral compass, if you will. And then our habits, right? Like whether somebody smokes has less to do with their neurological networks and more their social networks. If your friends smoke, you're more likely to smoke. If your friends all exercise, you're more likely to exercise. If your friends are avid learners or readers or entrepreneurs, you're more likely going to stay on that path. So I think one of the biggest things you could do to change your life is change your environment. At an event you were speaking at one of our events, we do an annual brain performance conference. We pulled out Quincy Jones, who was in the audience. We were having that conversation and talking about language and music and how he grows. And he's like, "Hey, you have to go to know." And you know this better than anyone with your lifetime travel schedule. He was talking about the beauty and the growth that comes from when you move people in place. You experience their culture, their music, their food, their language, their art, everything. It opens your mind. And so many people here, at least in the States, they don't travel. The percentages in terms of how many even
So
have
small.
have,
Outside
have
the
a
United
path.
States. Yeah, it's so
But
simple.
also but it's, yeah, it's one of those challenges is you think like what's around you in your physical space, and that's all that there is, and so that's why I love to travel. I love books because it allows me to put on a different mental cap and see things from a different perspective. And what's the Oliver Wendell Holmes quote? Once a person's mind is stretched by a new idea, it never regains its original dimensions. I think that's what the goal is, to have a limitless mind. You would constantly be expanding your mind. So many people, out of fear, they shrink what's possible to fit their minds, when maybe they could expand their minds through books, through travel, through conversations and community, to fit all that's really possible.
Last question. 10 years ago, actually it was 11 years ago, you and your father and we all went on a trip to Bali, which I'm going to this week, by the way. I'm all excited. I go there a
Yeah.
lot. But that's your home. I mean, you're part Indonesian. And I remember the conversations we had back then.
Yeah.
And one of them was about a podcast. And I want to bring this up. I want people to realize, somebody that's got one of the top podcasts in the world, being you started very humbly. And people need to realize that it's not about how great your set is or your mic
Yeah.
is. Tell everybody how you started to record your podcast.
Yeah. Wow. Only like I count on one hand how many people actually know this. um, yeah, that was a special trip for sure. I would say that uh, it was in 2017. People were on social media, our customer service team. They were always asking the same questions, right? And I just took my phone and I just recorded a voice memo. This is how you remember names. This is how you read faster. This is how you remember speech without notes. These are the best brain foods. And I would send it to our team, as so they could reply with that information or post, comments on social or whatever. And they turned into a podcast. My first interview was actually, um, I was in the green room backstage having a conversation about brain hacking with Dave Asprey, and I was like, "Wow, this is good stuff." And I literally just took my phone and we just passed it back and forth. No microphone, no nothing. It was that raw and real. Now we've just crossed 100 million downloads. We have almost 2 million subscribers of our podcast on YouTube, and it's a reminder for everybody that every professional was once an amateur, right? Every expert was once a beginner, but we were consistent. Like every single week, we've for the since 2017 we've released an episode, whatever it is, but little by little becomes a lot. And I believe for everyone watching, listening, whether it's your brain, your business, your brand, your bank account, that there's a version of yourself that's really patiently waiting. And the goal is we show up every single day until we're introduced.
Jim Quick, people want to find you, hunt you down. What's the best place to do that? Where do they go?
Hard not to find me if you search my name anywhere. Jim Quick, KWIK, social media, LinkedIn, all the platforms, Instagram, and yeah, I would and Limitless. We wrote a book called Limitless. It's done 2 million copies. We donate all the proceeds to charities, building schools in Ghana, Guatemala, Kenya. Also Alzheimer's research in memory of my grandmother who I lost when I was 7. Limitless is a great way of getting introduced to our work, and certainly our podcast. You can just search my name in wherever you listen to podcasts, or subscribe to our YouTube. And Ken, I want to thank you. You've opened up so many doors for me, talking about, I really think one new idea, a new individual completely changes everything. And I can't count the number of quality ideas and individuals that have come out of, my relationship and friendship with you. And so I appreciate you, the time. People don't realize what goes on behind the scenes, the amount of study and preparation, moving parts to do what you do, and I know just even bigger things are coming. So it's just no small plans.
I say this to my very, very close men friends, and they know this is not a gimmick, guys. I tell Jim I love him. I don't say I love you, dude, or man, or yo. It's just I love you, because I do. I love Jim Quick, and when I met Jim 2+ decades ago, I just remember that. I even remembered the girl I was with, my partner at the time. I go, this is going to be one of my new best friends. And boy, that was a great prediction because it became accurate. I love you, Jim.
I love you too, Ken.
And I
Yeah,
appreciate you being here. Jim Quick,
yes.
guys, follow him. And we'll talk to Jim later. Thanks, Jim.
Bye now.